Hey, welcome back, guys. We're going to be diving Peacock Springs again, from Orange Grove to Peacock I, also known as the Grand Traverse. It starts there on the right side of that map, goes up over to Challenge Sink, down to Olson, and then exit out of Peacock I. Total, it's about 4,600 feet, which I did a day or two after completing my Sidewinder rebreather course. It I think made doing this type of dive so much easier, and I think it would have been much more difficult to try to attempt it on open circuit. It is a bit of an ambitious dive right out of the gates after getting certified. However, as I mentioned, there were two points in the dive at Challenge Sink and Olson where I could have surfaced. My buddy and I, had we had an issue. The main thing that we concerned ourselves with here was having enough bailout gas to make it to those exits. From our starting point, just to kind of reference what all of that means, is from our starting point to Challenge Sink, which was the longest of the three sections that we dove from any viable exit, was 1,900 feet. I'm sorry, 1,800 feet. So it was 900 feet at the midpoint. So at worst, we would need to have enough bailout gas to traverse or to make it 900 feet. From previous experience, I know that I can do 900 feet in less than 40 cubic feet of air, and that's with an average depth of about 70 feet or so. And that's a very conservative estimate, I think, without looking at the actual numbers or having them right in front of me. But that is worst case scenario. I'm sure many of you have seen other videos on YouTube that talk about how many options there are with rebreathers, and that is in fact true. Even if we had a major problem, but the rebreather itself was still functioning, as in it's still scrubbing CO2, which is its main purpose, and I can still use it, hasn't been flooded, it's still functioning, it's still usable, even with a catastrophic gas loss, or even a computer malfunction. I can still use it and extend gas, available gas that I have, for a very long time. Having said that, we did our due diligence. We knew we had more than enough bailout gas for worst case scenario, and we had done, my dive buddy and I had done dives of this length at greater depths on open circuit, and we're very comfortable doing them. Again, like I said, doing it with a rebreather just gave us that much more confidence, because we had that much more bottom time. It took us about an hour and 45 minutes from start to finish, and we each had roughly 4 to 6 hours of bottom time that we could have been down there with the rebreather. So it is amazing what the types of dives you can do with these. It's the reason that I decided I wanted to start diving with a rebreather and get certified on one, because it opens up a lot of doors, and you have many more opportunities for extended dives and different types of dives, including deeper dives and so on and so forth. The biggest concern I had going into rebreather diving was obviously, dying. You hear a lot of stories about people dying on rebreathers, and it's been analyzed quite a bit. A lot of these accidents, just like regular dive accidents, are analyzed, and just like cave accidents were analyzed, and rules, were created based off of those accidents, those incidents. The same thing with rebreathers, right? And one of the main rules was having a checklist and making sure that everything's working properly, and you have everything planned out correctly. You have the proper bailout necessary for the type of dive you're doing. Things like that make these units very safe and very beneficial when doing these longer dives. How beneficial are they? Well, a dive like this, I think I would have needed my two main side mount tanks, and at least one stage bottle, maybe two. The dives that we have done that were this long, I used one stage bottle, one aluminum 80, and then my two HP 100s. So 3 tanks would have been necessary for this. 2 big tanks, or 3 big tanks, whereas I had 2 LP50s, 2 steel LP50s for this entire dive. And how much gas did I go through? Well, I went through, let's see, about 400 psi. 400 psi for that entire dive. That, to me, is crazy. That you can dive for an hour and 45 minutes and only go through about 420 psi. That is unbelievable. Again, the doors that these units open up are incredible. A long time ago, when I started diving side mount, even recreationally, it gave me so much more peace of mind knowing that I had way more gas than I needed for the dive, way more gas than I needed to get myself out of trouble, and the rebreather just tenfolds that. If I like to get into the tight, dirty stuff, and I like to do a lot of penetration diving, and I have found myself getting stuck or entangled many times, and besides keeping a calm demeanor to get myself out of it, the knowledge that I had way more gas than I needed for that dive made it that much easier to think my way out of it. And with the rebreather, again, so much more time to solve the problem, so much more time to find a solution and get yourself out of there. There's an incident that happened while I was out there this past week, and I'll talk about it in the next video that I'm going to do. But it, again, just having that knowledge that I've had all the time in the world, really, when you look at it in terms of the problem and finding a solution, I had all the time I needed, and then some to solve it and get out of there. So definitely confidence inspiring in that respect. And I don't see, I don't want to be one of those, guys that says I'm never going to dive open circuit again. But I totally see the attraction and the addiction to diving closed circuit rebreather all the time after you've done it, and you just, it's not the same. It's not the same anymore. You just, the amount of bottom time you get, the amount of freedom you get from the restraints of open circuit is amazing. So, having said that, is it all rainbows and sunshine? For the most part, I think so. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of negativity around certain things and certain ways of doing things. However, I have not found that to be the case, at least with this unit. I know on the internet there's quite a bit of negativity surrounding it. Well, let me take that back. Not a lot, but there is some, and unfortunately, because there's not a lot of other information out there, at least that I could find, when you do start hearing a lot of the negative comments about the unit, in particular the one that I purchased, the Kiss Sidewinder, you start to second guess your decision. So this was the first stop that we made, or not necessarily a stop, but the first open area. This is again 1,800 feet from where we entered at Orange Grove. We didn't surface at either one of these, or Challenge or Olson. We just kept on trucking along, but it was amazing views just looking out to the surface through the water. In any case, back to the Sidewinder. Specifically, some of the things that I read was that it was the work of breathing was very hard. I have not found that to be the case. It is. I was actually surprised. I was very surprised at how well it breathes. In horizontal position, obviously, and when you're trimmed out nicely and you're laying the water column very flat, it's almost not much different from breathing from a regulator. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit harder, but I didn't. Normal diving, normal just swimming along, looking at things, I didn't notice it, or I don't notice a difference. With a head down position or head up position, you get a little bit of what do they call it? Like a hydrostatic load, I believe is what it's referred to, or what it's called, where now you're either pushing against or sucking against the bubble, in your counter lung in the loop. The first time that I went head up and all the gas rushed up into the hoses into the loop, it obviously ballooned my cheeks a little bit and got the chickmunk cheeks, as they say. It was a little bit of a strange feeling, more so because I didn't anticipate it. I didn't know it was going to happen, even though I know what happens to a bubble contained in a container when you turn the container upside down. But again, it still caught me off guard a little bit, and it took a little bit of getting used to, but I would say by the second or third dive, I knew it was coming, and I anticipated it, and if you're ascending, you got to release some of that anyway. So you kind of start to build that muscle memory to get ready to start letting some of that air out anyway. But the work of breathing, even head up, I could breathe just fine out of it. Is it more difficult than in a horizontal position? Yeah, of course it's going to be. But I didn't find it to be extremely hard or cumbersome in any way. I could see if you were at an extreme depth and your gas density was, riding the maximum, and you had to suddenly start working really hard. I could see being in a head up, completely vertical or completely head down position would cause you some problems. But again, I experienced I got stuck at like 130 feet or so, and in a head down position for several minutes, and I could breathe just fine. I didn't experience any concerns or issues as far as that goes. Overall, I'm very, very happy with the work of breathing. So I'm not sure if that is a subjective thing where some people experience, um, different things, or the work of breathing experience is different because of just physically, um, it's just naturally harder for them. Again, everyone's different, but I didn't experience any issues. People have also said that it's kind of finicky or hard to set up. I find it to be very easy to put together, and being modular the way it is, you can inspect everything very easily. You can take one thing off and leave the rest together without having to completely disassemble things. I know this is my first rebreather, but I obviously did quite a bit of research into other units, and this one is very, very simple. Very easy to put together, very easy to take apart, very easy to clean. No issues whatsoever. The setup, I'm not sure if that is the way it's put together or the way it's assembled or the final assembly. I'm not sure if that's what people refer to as an issue in terms of having blood tolerance issues. I know that mine, even on 2+ hour dives, I barely had any water in it. I think maybe a tablespoonful, if that, or at most a half a shot glass, half an ounce. I don't know how that compares to other units. I know that it gets a lot more water in it if I try to purge vent gas from the counterlung through the mouthpiece. If I try to break the seal around the mouthpiece, I found that doesn't work. You inevitably are going to get water in it. So I did that one dive and I never did it again, and went back to having very minimal water in the unit. Obviously, water in the unit's going to cause wet sorb. I've read that other units, the sorb comes out just as dry as it did when they assembled everything. I have not had that happen with my unit, on the Sidewinder at least. It is wet or moist every single time I've taken it apart. Again, it's worked flawlessly. I do know that the sorb used in the unit through the chemical process of eliminating CO2 generates heat and water. So I've always chalked it up to that. However, if there are other units out there that don't have any moisture in the sorb, then I mean logically I would assume that there's more going on in my unit in the Sidewinder than just the creation of water or moisture due to the chemical process of eliminating CO2. But again, I don't have any experience with any other units. I can tell you I've never had a problem with mine as far as water. Part of that checklist that I talked about is doing positive and negative tests to make sure that it holds pressure and holds a negative pressure. That essentially is just testing your seals to make sure that the unit is watertight. It's passed the test every single time, and as long as I don't try to vent gas out of the mouthpiece, it has had very, very little water in it in the counter lung. And that's with me, blowing all my hot breath and saliva in there. So, no issues as far as that goes, as far as I'm concerned. Other people have mentioned that they have concerns or they don't like the way the unit is set up because it gives you less options for mounting stage bottles or deco bottles or things of that sort. I don't know where that's coming from. In side mount, you mount 2 cylinders on your sides and stage bottles underneath those cylinders, or in some cases some people put them above, but I like them underneath. So I don't see what the problem is. I could see doing 150, 160 foot deco dives with two aluminum 40s, as bailout deco cylinders, with LP 50s, being sufficient bailout gas to get up to the first deco stop. A little bit different if it's a cave dive. Bailout's going to be a little bit different because you can't just ascend. But from what I've learned, or from the types of dives that I have planned out, I don't see any issues whatsoever as far as having enough places to mount deco bottles, stage bottles, or what have you. Speaking of that, as far as the setup goes, obviously it's a side mount unit. I have still 2 tanks, the LP 50s that I mentioned. They mount just like normal side mount cylinders do. The right one is what I have connected to the unit to add diluent to it. That is primarily to add gas to the loop, because just like every airspace, as you descend, it compresses, so you have to add gas to equalize everything. And as you ascend, obviously that gas expands and you have to release it. And then the left tank has just 2 hoses coming out of it, one to my dry suit and one to the short hose that's on a bungee that is necklaced around my neck. That is my primary bailout, but the right tank also has a second stage with a long hose on it that I can either donate or switch to should I need a second bailout tank or more bailout gas. It is, I believe, ideal for most of the diving. that I'm going to be doing, and it's way more than enough gas to accomplish the job. So no issues for me there. As far as more issues with the unit, some people have complained about build quality or poor materials used. I can tell you that mine is pretty much bomb proof. The materials used to make the canisters are very high quality as far as I can tell. They look like they were machined out of a solid piece of Delrin or plastic or whatever. And those materials are used in the automotive field, to put for intakes and for a lot of other, heavy duty parts. So no problems there. Everything about it is just bulletproof to me. I don't foresee having any issues with it, and I can't wait to keep on diving it and get more time on it and get better, and do more dives. Thanks for listening, and I will get back to you guys soon.